Tonight, we return with another collection of chilling experiences shared by those who've glimpsed beyond the veil. Stories that have kept Filipinos awake at night, passed down through digital whispers on Reddit. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, these tales might make you question what lurks in the corner of your eye. Let's begin. 5 Filipino Paranormal Stories, Volume 2. Growing up in the Philippines, I was no stranger to the paranormal. As a child of a military father and a native mother, I was raised off base, surrounded by my mother's family. My aunts and uncles played a significant role in my upbringing, and the mysticism, folklore, and occult that permeated the country were a constant presence in our lives. My mother would regale me with tales of the aswang, the White Lady, and other supernatural entities that lurked in the shadows. One night, when I was just 5 years old, I experienced something that would forever be etched in my memory. I was sleeping in bed with my aunt when I suddenly woke up in the middle of the night for no apparent reason. As I looked up at the far wall, I saw it. It was a massive mouth. Or rather, a shadow of a mouth, if that makes any sense. It kept opening and closing, but there was no sound, only an eerie silence. Like any young child, I sought the only protection I knew. I hid under the covers. Peeking out, I saw that it was still there, taunting me. My aunt remained fast asleep, oblivious to the terror that gripped me. Eventually, exhaustion must have taken over, and I drifted off to sleep. When morning came, the mouth was gone, but the memory of it lingered. My mother believed it was a tikbalang, a mythical creature playing with me. All I knew was that the image of the shadowy mouth would haunt me for years to come. Another incident that occurred during our time in the Philippines was the mysterious entity that would run across our house in 3 leaps every full moon. Our house was long and single-story with a flimsy roof that was common in a country with lax building codes. On those moonlit nights, we would hear a resounding boom, boom, boom as something traversed our rooftop. My father, a Vietnam veteran and a 3rd-degree black belt in karate, was not one to be easily frightened. One night, when the sound occurred, he heard something land in our backyard, right next to the door. Without hesitation, he grabbed a nearby machete and rushed outside to confront whatever or whoever it was. To his surprise, the backyard was empty. The cement brick wall surrounding our property stood at an imposing 7 feet high, making it nearly impossible for anyone, save for an exceptional athlete like LeBron James, to run across the yard and clear the wall in a few seconds it took my father to reach the scene. Rumors circulated in the barrio that others had witnessed the entity, describing it as a large man smoking a cigar, effortlessly running across the rooftops. These experiences left an indelible mark on my young mind, a reminder that there are things in this world that defy explanation. The Philippines, with its rich tapestry of folklore and superstition, seemed to be a breeding ground for the supernatural. A decade ago, my family and I were visiting Iloilo from abroad, staying at my in-laws' house in Molo. Their property was an impressive 2,500 square meters with a colossal acacia tree dominating one end of the lot. Its canopy was the largest I had ever seen in a residential area, spanning the majority of the property. One night, we returned from a party around 1 a.m. and I decided to have a smoke before showering and heading to bed. As I sat on the tailgate of a truck parked at the opposite end of the property from the acacia tree, a sudden chill enveloped me. My upper back and neck tingled with an inexplicable sensation. In the darkness ahead, at the far end of the property, I could clearly make out the base of the massive tree. That's when I saw it. A silhouette that looked like a person dropping down from the tree. It was a 30 to 40 foot drop from the canopy, but the figure didn't fall. It slowly floated down. As soon as this happened, the tingling sensation spread throughout my entire body, and I felt frozen, unable to move. The guard dogs erupted into a frenzy of barking, facing the tree but refusing to approach its base. It was only when the dogs started barking that I regained control of my body. I walked towards the house, and as I neared the door, I saw the two German shepherds run past me, heading towards the side of the house as if they were fleeing from something. The next morning, over breakfast, I recounted my experience to everyone at the table. My father-in-law, an old-timer who also didn't believe in the paranormal, laughed and shared a similar story. Many years ago, a helper had quit after working for the family for less than a month, citing a comparable encounter. One evening, she was found screaming on the front porch. She claimed to have seen a creature drop down from the tree canopy and run towards her. She felt what seemed like a hand with very long fingers grab her leg. Another helper, hearing the screams, turned on all the porch lights and came outside. She reported seeing a black shadow run away and vanish. Despite my skepticism regarding the paranormal, I cannot explain what happened to me that evening. Even now as I type this, the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. The acacia tree, once a symbol of the property's grandeur, now looms as a sinister presence in my memory. Its shadow seems to hold secrets that defy rational explanation. I can't help but wonder if there is something ancient and malevolent lurking within its branches, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Growing up in the city, I never thought I would encounter the supernatural, especially not the aswang, a creature I believed was confined to the tales from the provinces. But when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I had an experience that shattered my sense of security and made me question the boundaries between the real and the unreal. It was a time of change in our household. My sister had just been born, and as the eldest, I was tasked with helping take care of her. One of my responsibilities was making her milk, a simple chore that would soon become the backdrop for a terrifying encounter. One night around 10 p.m., I was in the kitchen preparing my sister's milk when a sudden chill ran down my spine. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and a sense of unease washed over me. Slowly, I turned my gaze towards the living room, and there, in our dining room, I saw it. Perched on the windowsill, at least 12 feet above the ground, was a silhouette darker than the night itself. It seemed to be lighting a cigarette or something similar, the faint glow illuminating its shadowy form. Fear gripped my heart, and I hurriedly finished making the milk before scurrying back inside, desperate to escape the unsettling presence. Our house was often filled with children, as my cousins and their mothers would stay with us during the summer to help around. With my father working overseas, my grandfather was the only adult male present. One particular incident remains etched in my memory, a night when we were all ushered into a single room. I found myself surrounded by my cousins, aunt's mother, and infant sister. The air was thick with tension as my aunt began placing palm leaf crosses, ginger, and garlic on the windowsills. The pungent smell filled the room, making it difficult to breathe. They tied ginger and garlic to the children's clothes and made us all sleep together, huddled in that confined space. The next day, I learned the reason behind our impromptu sleepover. My aunt had heard the faint sound of a tick-tick, a creature believed to be a form of the aswang, accompanied by the flapping of wings in the distance. It was a sign that the aswang was near, and the adults had taken every precaution to protect us. As I reflect on these experiences, I find myself grappling with the concept of the paranormal. While I don't see any harm in maintaining a healthy amount of superstition, I can't help but wonder about the true nature of the entities that seem to lurk in the shadows of our city home. Growing up in a province notorious for its tales of aswangs, I've heard countless of stories from family and friends about these mythical creatures. It's a shame that our beautiful home is primarily known for these legends, especially to outsiders. But I have to admit, sharing these stories around campfires during sleepovers or over a beer or two is always entertaining. Despite the abundance of tales, I've never had a personal encounter with an aswang, and I've made it my mission to challenge these myths at every opportunity. I've ventured into deep jungles, climbed mountains, and explored remote places, always engaging in friendly banter with locals who warn me of the dangers. One particular incident stands out in my memory. I was staying with my ex-girlfriend's family in a different province, and their home was located deep within a sugarcane farm. One night, her cousin, who had just given birth and was alone in her house a few meters away, called for help. She told her cousins and uncles that something or someone had been pestering her and making violent noises on their roof. To my amusement, I watched as the family members grabbed their bolo knives and pointed bamboo trunks, hurrying towards the cousin's house. Excited by the prospect of witnessing an aswang encounter firsthand, I tried to follow them outside. However, my ex-girlfriend's mother pulled me back, insisting that I stay inside since I wasn't a local and could get myself into trouble. Frustrated but not wanting to cause any drama, I reluctantly returned to the house. From the balcony, I could hear the commotion, the shouting, the calling out of names, and the flashes of light as they tried to fend off the creature. The ordeal lasted for about 10 minutes, and it truly seemed like they were onto something. When the dust settled and everyone returned inside, they revealed that they knew who the aswang was. They claimed that by simply calling out its name, the creature had stopped and fled. To my surprise, they shared the identity of the alleged aswang, an old man I had become acquainted with in the neighborhood. They warned me not to talk to him and to always greet him first whenever our paths crossed, as it was believed that aswangs had the power to enchant and cause paranormal occurrences. A few days later, I encountered the old man on my way home. Curiosity got the better of me, and I intentionally let him greet me first. To my surprise, he was a kind and harmless individual. I stopped to chat with him, getting to know him better and feeling a sense of pity for the way he was ostracized by the community. When I shared this encounter with my ex's family, they were furious, scolding me for my stupidity and urging me to see a shaman for protection against enchantments. I respectfully declined and continued to interact with the old man whenever I passed him in the fields, much to their dismay. More than a decade has passed since that incident, and I am still amazed by the power of these beliefs and the impact they have on people's lives. It was a fascinating experience, and I continue my quest to find similar encounters in my home province, intentionally staying with friends in remote areas in the hopes of finally witnessing an aswang for myself. Interestingly, I was told that my great grandfather was somewhat of a menace to aswangs, and there's a little known town legend surrounding him. Whether it's true or not, it's a captivating story that I enjoy sharing with others as a conversation starter. As I continue my journey, I remain open minded yet skeptical, eager to unravel the mysteries that have shaped the folklore of my beloved province. The hunt for the aswang may be an elusive one, but the thrill of the pursuit and the richness of the stories that surround it keep me forever intrigued. I was born and raised in the Philippines, a land steeped in folklore and ghost stories. When I was 11, my family moved to Canada, and I left those tales of the paranormal behind. In Canada, such stories weren't taken seriously, and I quickly adapted to this new perspective. However, after 7 years, my mother decided it was time for my siblings and me to return to the Philippines for a vacation. Despite the years apart, I had stayed in touch with some of my childhood friends who still lived there. Many of them had started families of their own, so instead of going out, I invited them to our house for lunch or dinner. Our family home in the Philippines had always been known as the haunted house in the neighborhood. But having shed my belief in the supernatural, I never gave it much thought. I would spend hours alone in the house without experiencing anything unusual. One of my closest friends who had recently given birth agreed to visit. As her baby's godmother, I asked her to bring the little one along. I informed my grandmother about the visit, and she offered to go to the market to buy something special to cook for us. I decided to stay home to greet my friend and her baby, especially since it was just my grandmother and me at the house, as my siblings had other plans. My friend arrived about 10 minutes after my grandmother left, her baby asleep in her arms. I suggested she put him in one of the rooms so he wouldn't be disturbed while we caught up. Once the baby was settled, we returned to the living room to chat. As soon as she sat down, she immediately stood back up, her eyes fixated on the kitchen. Our house was small, and from the living room, you could see straight into the kitchen and dining area. She said, "Uy, mag-hi at magpapakilala muna ako sa lola mo." I replied, "Sure, pagbalik niya from the market." She looked at me puzzled and asked, "Di mo ba lola yung nasa kitchen?" A chill ran through my body and every hair stood on end. I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. "That's impossible," I said. "She just left to buy food." My friend's expression changed and she asked, Sino yung babae na may maikling buhok at naka-white na duster sa kitchen?" My grandmother had short hair, but my friend hadn't seen her in a very long time. I felt a shiver down my spine. I shook my head and told her, "My grandma is wearing a blue duster today, and I've been here alone. We cautiously approached the kitchen, but no one was there. As we tried to make sense of what she had seen, we heard her baby crying from the room where we had left him. He had finally woken up. We decided not to dwell on the incident and focus on the baby instead. But that moment has haunted me ever since. As I reflect on that day, I can't help but wonder about the woman in the white dress. Was she a figment of my friend's imagination, or was she something more sinister? Had I been living in a house with an unseen visitor all along? The thought of a ghostly presence sharing our home sends a chill through my bones. I find myself questioning the years I spent alone in that house, oblivious to any supernatural activity. The incident has rekindled my belief in the paranormal, and I can't help but wonder what other secrets our family home might hold. The memory of that day has become a part of me, a reminder that the world is not always as it seems. It has taught me to keep an open mind and to respect the stories and beliefs of my heritage. And though I may have left the Philippines behind, the ghosts of my past seem to have followed me, waiting to make their presence known when I least expect it. And there we have it. More unexplained encounters that remind us why Filipino folklore and supernatural beliefs continue to persist in our modern world. Now, we turn to you, our viewers. Which of these stories resonated with your own paranormal experiences? For our Filipino viewers, what traditional beliefs or warnings from your elders about the supernatural do you still follow today? Has anyone else experienced similar encounters in their own homes or neighborhoods? If these tales kept you looking over your shoulder, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. More mysterious stories await in the shadows. This has been Midnight Archives. Stay safe, and remember, sometimes the old stories our grandparents told us weren't just meant to scare us. Good night.